Hi guys, it's Kristen and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm just going to be doing a quick little repot situation because I have some philodendron lemon lime and a philodendron Brazil cutting that I need to pot up because their roots have finally gotten big enough to pot, which I'm very thankful for, and I'm sure my boyfriend is very thankful for because I keep most of my propagations at his house because like the lighting that he gets in the one window is pretty good, whereas my lighting I feel like just isn't as great in my back window that I have in my living room, and so I usually keep them there. Plus, like, I had like 3 things of coleus, C-O-L-E-U-S, propagations going, and I had one jar that I did that turned out really well, and I already potted those up a while ago, but for whatever reason, the other 3 jars, they all ended up, well, one, I was really bad at making sure they all had water, because that's another problem with my window, is that they, like, the water level decreases a lot over, like, not a lot of time. So they weren't always very watered, and their roots were kind of drying out, so that caused some issues, but they also all kind of like started getting this black spot on the stem, which eventually ended up turning into like rotting the whole stem out. So yeah, not great. So I just keep my propagations at his house now. So off camera, I just poked some holes in the bottom of these little pudding cups that I've had laying around in my house forever because I normally keep my previous, like, don't want to tip that over again. I usually keep my little 2-inch pots from when I up pot stuff, but most of my 2 inches are staying in their 2-inch pots at this point, or I've already upsized them. So I found that I was like, oh yeah, I have all these little mini pudding cups from a dessert I made for Thanksgiving last year. And so I just take this metal toothpick that I got from a restaurant, and I just use a lighter to heat up the end, and then I can use it to poke holes in the bottom. And then that way I don't have to buy new cups every time, because I would say these are about 2 inches, maybe they're like 3 inches, but normally it's not an issue. So I'm going to be using the soil mix that I made a video about that you guys, it would have already came out at this point. I made a video about how I make my soilless potting soil mix, so I'll link that in the description for you guys to go take a look at if you haven't already watched it. And I also highly recommend getting a potting mat because it just makes life easier. It's so much easier to just take the potting mat outside and like throw dirt into the woods versus the mess that I usually would create on the floor of the house. So I normally just do like halfway full of dirt, but I mean, and then I'll put my plant in, but usually it depends on what my root situation is looking like and how big they are. So this is a philodendron mic. I'm assuming this is philodendron micans. Let me know if it isn't. This is the most recent free cutting I've gotten from my plant store, which the philodendron lemon limes also came from a free cutting. One came from when I bought a philodendron Prince of Orange, and I also bought my golden pothos at the same time, and then the other one came from when I bought my Ficus shriviana, which this angle is not doing justice to all the variegation, but it is gorgeous. I love it so much. So I actually went and got this plant on Saturday, which is a Hoya Super Silver, which has kind of like this silver variegation kind of splashing going on, which, once again, this is not doing the justice to my variegated plants. But I will do a plant tour soon, and I'll get up close shots of everything. But I look at how much this is trailing, and at least my other Hoya that I had, my Hoya Crimson Queen, is like a very baby, and like I've had her for like maybe 3 months at this point, and like hasn't given me any new leaves. So I was super excited to get this big old trailing Hoya, because I just feel like Hoyas grow slower in general than other plants. Let me know if you feel the same. But so I was really happy to get a nice long trailing plant, and it was only like it was $25, but I also had a 10% coupon because the store that I go to, they usually have really good discounts going on, and they're always giving me coupons. So I waited until the roots on these bad boys were like, I would say they're about 2 inches long. I had to wait because I originally got this one like a week or two, or probably more like a month. I probably got this more like a month before I got this one, so I wanted to wait for this one to get a big enough root to pot them together. That way I could have a more full plant, and I'm slightly worried about planting them in this tiny little cup because like they're so big compared to the cup, but I'm sure it'll be fine. If not, I'll just give them some support one way or another. So normally I just place them in the middle, and then I just kind of pack soil in around them. And this is the messy part, honestly, is like trying to pack soil around the pots that, or not the pots, but the plants that I'm putting into the pot. And for when I'm trying to root cuttings, I just put them in normal distilled water. I don't put any nutrients in them. I know some people like to do that to ensure that they grow, but I've found that I've had really great success with everything I've been potting so far just by doing the water rooting without any added nutrients. So that's what this one looks like. I'm so excited to I hope this one gets big. I mean, I know the leaves aren't going to be this big when it finally starts growing them, because I'm sure these leaves were probably from a plant that they have on a moss pole, because I think that what they've been doing is cutting up their moss poles that are getting too big for people. So I know it's not going to be as big when they start growing, but I really want a nice big trailing philodendron. It'd be beautiful. So the other one that I'm doing is this little baby cutting of a philodendron Brasil, and the roots, I would say they're about 2 inches. I mean, the other ones were definitely thicker and bigger, but these ones are kind of wavy, so they're not all straight. I'm also worried about potting this one in such a short vessel because this one's so long. This was a cutting that I got from a free plant trade. There was a person in my local community who she had just moved, and she was like cutting down on her plant collection, and she thought that a lot of her cuttings might have spider mites because she had seen spider mites growing. So she was giving away 3 free philodendron Brasil cuttings, and the 2 that I got with this one I already repotted into kind of a taller plastic cup that was just like this, but this one the roots weren't growing as long, so I just saved it to make its own little plant. And I'm actually going to give this to my friend James because he has been asking me if there's any like easy beginner plants for people, because he's been thinking about getting a plant, because I think my main goal in life is to just make everybody around me also want a ton of house plants. So job well done, because he's thinking about it, and he hasn't gotten one yet. And I was thinking about him the other day, and I was like, you know what, I'll give him this one, because I personally am not a big like having 2 of one plant. So like if it's the same kind of plant, like obviously I have like I have two rubber plants. I have the Elastocotinicea and I have my Sherbiana. I have lots of philodendrons. I have quite a few pothos now. So I like having a different like species under the same umbrella. So I'm gonna give this to him. And that's all for today. Actually, I want to ask you guys, since we were on the topic of me using water to propagate my plants, I got a Hoya cutting, and I've never propagated a Hoya before, and so I have that in another plastic cup full of water at Aaron's house, and I usually change out the water like once every week just to make sure that it's staying fresh and like nothing's getting root rot, and I usually wash off the roots if there's any like sliminess from like bacteria or anything. So I've had it for like, I want to say a week or two now, at least a week or two now, because I got it in August and now it's September, and it kind of looked like it was growing a baby root, and then when I was switching out the water, I accidentally knocked off that baby root, but like the leaves are kind of starting to shrivel, so I'm getting worried about it. And I don't know if it's just like I should use a different method for propagating it, or if it's going to be fine and it's too soon to tell. So either way, if you guys use a different way to propagate Hoyas, let me know, because that would be great. But now I'm going to clean this up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!